Good morning, everyone. I think we're on, I don't know, day 9. And what I wanted to talk to everyone about a little was, raising money, capital raising. I am by no means an expert on the subject, but I've done a lot of research and a lot of studying, and I want to just kind of share a lot of the different things that I found that I see that are working for people. So let me just share my screen here. Everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I see has worked very well for some people is deciding on who your investor avatar is. Have anyone ever heard of that before?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So my investor avatar before was just kind of all over the place, and speaking with other people that have been very successful in raising capital, and now seeing have, because I was a financial advisor for a little while, I got a glimpse of what they're always doing. So my investor avatar moving forward is financial advisors or any type of money managers, because they all believe that what they're telling all their clients to invest in is the best thing. And when I started talking to them about multifamily and the type of returns that we focus on, they were blown away and looked at me like I had 6 heads. So moving forward, that's my investor avatar. I'm sure everyone's heard of an elevator pitch.
Yes.
Okay, does anyone actually have one?
Nope.
I did, but I'm not really doing the same thing, so it's kind of, yeah.
Okay, so here are 2 that I constantly use. I help people get a better rate of return on their money than they probably can anywhere else. Or my company helps people passively invest in apartment complexes.
Leave that on, huh?
I make it very simple, very short, because usually that'll spark a conversation, and I know whether I should continue talking to that person about what I do, because if they have a lot of interest, they'll look at you and they want to know more, and they just start asking questions. What's this, exactly what you want. If they just respond to you and say, oh, that's awesome, and they start talking about the weather, well, then that's not the type of person that you're going to continue to have that conversation with. But finding your investor avatar, having an elevator pitch as things that I've really been focusing on. One of the things about how much money you're looking to raise is a big one as well. So if you're looking to raise a couple $100,000 or $500,000, you can definitely do that from friends and family and networking events and things like that. If you're looking to raise more money, $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, whatever it may be, you definitely have to have systems in place. So I've met a lot of people that, they've raised a few $100,000 just from networking and stuff like that. But the people who are out there raising big money, they have systems in place. They have outreach systems. They're spending money on advertising. They have CRMs. They're following up with people. They have drip campaigns. There's newsletters and stuff that are going out. And all of that is helpful. It just depends on what your goal is. The people who are very successful in raising a lot of money, that's the only thing that they do. They don't look for deals. They don't have flips going on the side. They are on the phone all day long talking to investors. Anyone have any questions on that so far?
No, not a question, but I found it interesting. Warren Buffett one time said, my job is to raise money or find money or something like that. So even a guy like Warren Buffett does exactly what you just said. He spends his time looking for money.
Yep. So when you see capital raise, I have stuff at the bottom of some people that I've really been watching in terms of capital raising. Hunter Thompson raises capital. Richard C. Wilson, the guy, has a family office club. I mean, that's what they're focused on, raising capital. They're letting the deals come to them and they're raising the capital. So if you read my ebook, the first thing I wrote about is figuring out what you want to do. If you're going to focus on some smaller deals, find some deals and raise a little bit of money, absolutely, one person can do that. If you're going to syndicate and do bigger deals, you got to pick one lane to follow because you just can't do both. It's way too time consuming. Like I said, a lot of them have advertising budgets. That just depends on how you want to go about advertising for it. But, you know, a lot of them are out there with social media stuff, paying for, what do you call them? You know, dinners where they invite a bunch of high net worth investors and they buy them dinner and have a, you know, a presentation, but they have some type of advertising budget. You can't just go out there and just expect to raise a bunch of money if you're just going to networking events. Soft commitments. I have a friend of mine that has another coaching program, and I called him one day because I kept seeing his ads for, you know, a guy that came into his program, raised $15 million worth of capital in the first 30 days. And I called him up, dude, how are you doing this? Well, they were calling people and they were getting soft commitments. If you call up a bunch of your investors or people that you know and you get a soft commitment, let's just say after 30 days you have $1 million lined up, I would expect if you had a deal, probably 40 to 50% of that would actually come through. So you always want to over raise for your Fia's shaking her head.
Yeah, or none, or 100,000. That's more realistic. 30 days later, they've already done something else.
Well, and that goes back to that follow-up system. If you're
Right.
not constantly talking to them, phone calls, emails, whatever it may be, yes, after 30 days, they've forgotten about you already. So she's 100% accurate there. But based on what I've seen from the people that have all these systems in place, when they get a deal, they're saying 40 to 50% of that actually comes through. And yes,
Yeah,
if
you're
you're
right.
not
More
doing,
experienced people, but all the new people come in and they're counting on money and they don't get anything, maybe 100,000 at the most. I agree.
well, if anyone read my post the other day, raising money is so difficult. And people naturally gravitate towards this because they like having conversations with people. And that's great if you're a people person. But if you have no track record and you're going out there trying to raise money, it is not easy. So just remember that. That's why I talked a lot about if you're going to start trying to buy a $10 million building and you need to raise $3 million. If you're new, you probably need $10 to $12 million lined up in soft commitments to actually get that $3 million. Raising capital is a long-term build trust game. It is not a, hey, I have a deal. Look how great the returns are. How much money do you want to invest? Trust me, the deal does not get you money. It's long-term building trust. People see you doing what you're doing over an extended period of time. It doesn't just happen overnight. So the biggest question in multifamily is always, what do you find first, the deal or the money? Listen, you got to find the money first. I would say you have to have the relationships first more than anything, but you can't just go out and find a deal and expect the money to follow. When people say that to me, I cringe. It's just such bad advice. Excuse me. I shared with you guys marketing materials. At least, at minimum, you should have a one sheet and a pitch deck. And that depends. The one sheet is basically a high level view of, hey, this is what an investment may look like. And then the pitch deck, this should be geared towards whoever your customer avatar is, and anticipate those questions that you might have from them. And that just comes from experience. But at minimum, when you have a conversation, you'd want to send those two things out when you first start talking to an investor. I have on here competition. Why is knowing your competition good? Well, if everyone out there is offering 20% AAR with an 18% IRR and an 8% pref, and you come along and you have a deal of 15% AAR with a 13% IRR and no pref, well, you know, investors who are looking at multiple deals are going to recognize that. They're going to see that you're not offering what the competition's offering. That's just an example, right? So know what other people are offering so that, you know, you can be competitive in terms of the market. Obviously, if you're talking to friends and family, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're going out raising more money from, you know, investors who are seeing other deals, you want to be competitive at least. What makes you unique? Why would somebody want to invest with you? This is something you just want to be able to convey to investors of why you're unique and you're different than everyone else, because if they're just seeing pitch decks left and right from deals, they don't really know who to invest in. That's just, getting to know your investors. Any questions on any of that?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch.
Sorry.
Uh,
Phone
Any
I
questions
thought
on
that was
any of that so
Stacy
far?
like chiming in from the dark or something.
Okay,
You just got out of bed.
I've got a question. Regards to the marketing materials, do you share any samples like a one sheet or pitch deck so we can
Yes, they're all in the group.
the group?
Group.
Yep, I think I put them in there last Friday morning.
Oh,
So if
okay.
you just go into the Facebook group, you can download all of them, take a look.
Oh, brilliant.
Is this thing you're going through right now, Brad, something you'll post in a group for us?
Yeah, I can share all of this with you.
That'd be great.
Yeah, the videos of the previous ones as well. Do you?
Yeah, I asked everyone in the group today, has anyone received an email that anything was actually uploaded? Because I've tried to upload them to YouTube and it's not showing on my YouTube channel.
I got one video. You got it's just your name and there's one video on the channel.
Okay. Yeah, I got to figure out what's going on, but I'm trying to get them uploaded. I tried to do 2 of them on Friday and I don't know what happened. So I am working on all of that for you.
I can help you if you want.
What?
I can give you a hand if you want.
Okay. Yeah, let me say it. I can always reach out.
All right, cool.
You know
Um,
what somebody taught us when we were going through our first deal was that you should basically be sharing lower returns. Like when you go out there, and we see a lot of this right now, especially when you go out there giving the higher, even if it's like the actual thing on your template, to drop it down a little bit. Because if you go out and give the higher, 8%, especially right now, 8%, this, that, and the other, it actually makes investors skeptical. And this was like in 2021 when things were good. They told us this group had raised a bunch of money. They said they always give out lower numbers because investors get skeptical if you put put things like a little bit too high, basically.
Yep. Yeah. You always want to under promise and over deliver. Consider where your investors are. So let's just say you're deciding to focus on surgeon. Where are surgeons at? Well, there's conferences that they attend. There's networking groups that they may attend. They could be on social media. Has anyone heard of something called LinkedIn Helper?
No.
Yep.
Okay. So we actually hired a company about 1.5 years ago to do this for us. I didn't realize what it was at the time. LinkedIn Helper, you can actually go in and set up. I don't know how to do it yet. I'm about to start learning it, but you can have it go on something like LinkedIn. I believe you need some sort of paid LinkedIn for it. But you can put in keywords in people's profiles that it'll go through search. It acts like a human. It doesn't act like a bot, so you won't get flagged or anything. It'll send a message that you decide you want it to send to. So let's just say you wanted to target doctors. It would say something like, hey, I see that you're a doctor at so-and-so. I have a lot of investors who are doctors. I would love to have whatever you want it to say. But it'll go through and find all these people and start a conversation with them. And then once the people reply, it stops and you can pick up that conversation. And then you can try to schedule a phone call with them to see if it would be a good investor for one of your deals.
That's rad.
So there's other ways that you can, use social media and have basically, something doing something for you so that you're not the one trying to find all these people. It'll do anywhere from, I think we set it up for 25 or 30 a day. And if you're targeting the right people, you'll get a lot of responses and you'll be quite busy having conversations. I've experienced it. So, always consider where your target audience is and try to go meet them there. That's the best way to try to talk to people. A lot of people like to go to multifamily groups and think they're going to find a bunch of investors. Sorry, it's just a bunch of other people that are looking for the same people you're looking for.
Yeah, yeah, templates as well for the LinkedIn.
What's that?
You got any templates that you can share regards to the LinkedIn helper?
I don't, but I'll tell you what, if you look up, I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. If you look up David Monroe, CCIM on YouTube, he has a capital raising course. It's like 6 videos and probably 8 hours of content. He actually walks you through how to set all this up. So
Oh, well.
it's yeah, I'm actually going through it right now, trying to set it all up. But he'll show you. You got to buy his little program. It's like $97 a year. It's got a CRM, and he shows you how to, or $97 a month, I think it is. Sorry, shows you how to do all this stuff. But I mean, for
What's the
$1,200
last?
for his CRM and everything he's doing, I mean, it is a no brainer.
What's the last name? David.
Monroe, MONROE. CCIM is just his, brokerage title, whatever that means. When I started, my mentor told me to write an ebook. I have a couple articles published. I did some videos. Obviously, posting on social media is people get to see what you're doing, but people aren't really reaching out to you unless you have a huge track record. Public speaking, anytime you can get over to a local meetup group and speak on the topic of what you're doing, or any type of real estate event. All this just it helps you for your branding and people to get to know who you are. I think it's great to have articles and ebooks. It definitely helps. Do I think it's a necessary thing? No. I've written 3 ebooks at this point. They've taken me a couple months each one. I think they're great to have, but I think you could definitely do something like LinkedIn Helper to where you're reaching out to people. You don't need all that kind of stuff. So I have choke points on here. Does anyone know what a choke point is?
No,
Like objective.
Bottleneck.
Yeah, there's a book, Scaling Up, talks a lot about choke points. Basically, you want to anticipate the problems you're going to run into and have a solution for it before you get to the problem. So when you're thinking about your customer avatar or your investor avatar, think about everything that they might have an objection to, a problem for, concerns, whatever it may be. And this may take time of just conversations, but every time they have an objection or a comment on something or a problem, take note of that. Think of the solution ahead of time so that you either have that in your pitch deck or your marketing materials, so that when you send it to them, that question's answered before you even get on a call with them. That's what choke points are. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Using a script for an investor call. I have a really good one from Hunter Thompson. I will share it with everyone. Make it your own, but you have to have a script when you're talking to people. You can't just let them control the conversation. You are the prize, not the investor in their money. So you need to make sure that you're taking them down the path that you want to take them down. I've used it a little bit. I don't do a ton of investor calls, but it is a really good guide for you to use. So then you'll see some things at the bottom. I have the script. I have it all printed out here. I will share it with everyone.
Yeah, brilliant.
And then there's a couple things. Raising capital. You can go right onto the website and you can download this whole thing. It's pretty thick. This is probably the best book I've read on raising capital, and it talks a lot about everything I just was talking about now. So I would highly recommend, if you're going to raise capital, read this. His other book is Pitch Decks. I don't know if you can see that very well. A ton of information. Most of it's probably overkill. Richard Wilson talks a lot about raising money from funds and family offices, to where they're going in trying to raise 10, 15, 20 million from one group. But there's still a lot of great information in here to use in your pitch deck when you design it. Hunter Thompson's book, Raising Capital for Real Estate. there's a lot of great insights and tools in here that you could use for follow-up and keeping track of things. He's very big on the email newsletters and content. He's been doing this for 10 years, and I think it's great just to follow up. The problem is I don't think investors read emails. I don't think they're sitting there reading your email about what's going on or this and that. I mean, it's good that they see you constantly in their inbox. But to spend the amount of time that he wants you to spend on writing content, I think is a waste. Just my opinion. I think you can do something better with your time. Matt Faircloth, Raising Private Capital. Matt's a great guy. I met him. He lives in New Jersey. I think his book is terrible. It really gives you nothing to do. So
Why did you put it on here?
I put it on here to warn you. Don't waste your time.
We're
Scratch
gonna give
that.
you all the bad book list.
Well,
I'm
listen,
just-
I've spent a lot of time researching this and reading stuff. I'd rather you guys focus on the things that I think are valuable than spending it on things that aren't valuable. So again, Matt's a super great guy, but I really walked away from reading his book thinking, I don't know what I can do to actually put something into action here. And then I didn't grab it off my bookshelf, but Hunter Thompson talks a lot about this in his book with his script. Pitch Anything. It's great for just framework on how to frame things. Like in his script, he'll say, hey, listen, I've allotted a half an hour for our call. Is today still a good time for you? He wants to let the investor know, hey, listen, we have a half an hour. That there's another call that you're on right after this. Like, your time has to seem very valuable. And when you get to the end of that call, like, that's it, 30 minutes done. If you need to schedule another call to finish, you do that. But you want to show that your time is valuable and not let that investor control the call. So great book to read if you want to. As I told many of you in the beginning, I wasn't going to spend much time on raising capital. It is a building trust long-term game. There are systems you can put in place, but really it's just a relationship. So I don't have a whole much more than this. So
Yeah, and you could definitely go from person to person spending a lot of money. It's crazy, like what's been going on with education ever since people were like, oh, you'll make more money educating than you will on the particular thing, right? So like Hunter Thompson, you pay for his program. There's another guy, Marcin. Have you seen him? Marcin Drossier or something like that. He's kind of like a Hunter Thompson. You can go pay for his program. It's crazy. You can just go out there and spend 20, 40, 50,000 bucks like on all these things. Probably reading the books is a good idea, but
So I'll give you an example, and this is what I learned about a year ago. Somebody had me signed up for a Russell Brunson ClickFunnels thing. It was $99 for his course. But what I learned from it, Russell Brunson himself, I'm sure you all know who Russell Brunson is. He said in his course that when he has someone pay him $100,000 for his coaching is no different than his book. Literally walks you through the exact same thing as his book. The only difference is some people don't want to read the book and they're willing to pay $100,000 so that they can talk to Russell Brunson and have him just tell them what to do. There's no difference. And I'll tell you this, I know people in Hunter Thompson's course, his book is the exact same thing as his course.
yeah, maybe it's a security thing, but people don't end up getting like, they're looking to get their hand held through a lot of these programs, and for the price you pay, you probably should be getting your hand held, but it doesn't happen. So that security you're looking for and getting into something new that has quite a bit of risk. Syndication is pretty high risk business. It's just not there, and then they're kind of flailing around not knowing what to do. But I learned through my experiences, capital raising takes a lot of time. And like you said, I think people think, well, you know, if I go the acquisitions route like I did with my team, then you know you've got to find the right people to do it with. It's not really a one-man show, and capital raising is easy, right? You just go talk to people, and so many people go the capital raising route. The thing that's scary about that too is they don't know the people who they're taking their family and friends' money from, and they're putting it into their deals. And a lot of the large operators are really going to shit right now. So, you know, that's really scary, honestly.
If I had a nickel for
yeah.
every time I saw a post that said, I have this deal, who has money, or something along those lines, I'm just amazed that people are trying to get into a deal with someone they've never met before because they have a deal. Like you're in bed with somebody for 5 years, maybe even longer, and you don't even know these people, and you're just looking for whoever can throw money at you. It's amazing.
All the time. It's all the time. It's really, really scary. And like what we went through on Friday, that was the really good class with what was that guy's name again?
John,
It's
Jonathan.
right there. I can't
John
remember your
Sprinkle.
asset manager that
Jonathan.
you Oh, okay. Okay, sorry I couldn't hear you.
Oh.
That was really good because you know that's really how people should be doing it. But you know, once they get to so many units and they just have some asset manager trying to manage 3,000, which is obviously quite a few different complexes, it just gets really, really messy, and they're just paying someone like a $60,000 salary or something to manage all these units, and it's bad. So yeah, keep it at that. Do what you guys are doing.
Yeah, after two deals and having, and I'm taking the capital raisers out. I'm just talking about the operators on the deal. There are 12 operators on the GP side that weren't just brought in to raise capital. Out of all of them, Jonathan and his partner Michael would be the only people I'd ever consider ever doing a deal with again.
I would say that's about right. One or two people. That's about it. At the end of the day, those are the people that are going to work.
I don't trust the other ones to do what they're supposed to do. Some of them have been proven to be completely lazy. I mean, like to the point that you send them an email, you let them know you send an email, and they say, "Oh, well, can you send it again so it's at the top of my email?" Are you kidding me?
That's norm. That is so normal. It's crazy.
No, I can't.
You chew my food for me?
There's a search button at the top. Put my name in. Like, how lazy are you? So
Wow.
These are the people that are taking the majority cut too. These aren't like Joe Schmo, you know, on their first and second deal. Those people are willing to work. These are the ones that are sponsoring it. Like, oh, really? I didn't. You're on every fucking email that the broker sends. Like, what the hell? It's a sad but true world. It's sad but true.
any more questions on anything I went over?
Nope.
Yeah. I've gone searching for the documents in the Facebook group. And is that a PDF that you're talking about?
Yeah, they're all. I mean, you could just scroll right down the.
Yeah, I can see the PDFs. The 7 things to look for professional syndication.
Yeah, they're in the files, and they're right in the the feed section.
Yeah. 6 of them. Okay. For the
I can
particular,
go tag you on them or something if I need to.
yeah, the one-page templates. That's the one I'm looking for. So I can't see it. I know.
Okay, yeah, I'll help you find that one.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yep.
That's about it for me.
Okay. So really the capital raising call was supposed to be the last call. I know we have 2 more. I anticipated you guys would have a lot more questions on the underwriting. We can always go back to that, or we can do something else if anyone, has any other questions on anything else.
I missed did you go over in more depth choosing a market when like around Thanksgiving time by chance?
I did have a call on that. Yeah, that was the first call.
Okay. No, I was on that one. I just didn't know if there was something further
No, I didn't, I mean, I didn't want to get into all the details just because of time. I wanted you guys to have the basics down. And
Okay.
the basics are obviously more than most people know. Everything else that comes off those basics is you just learning your market or learning the underwriting or learning how to talk to people for capital raising. Like the more you go through the processes, the more you learn, and you'll start tweaking things or you start looking at things differently.
Yep.
How to adjust the underwriting template. Again, you have to know your market in terms of what the occupancy rate is for the market, or what does this cost for the market. Like those are things you have to learn, and it just takes time and doing it yourself. The basics are there, you have them, so you have an understanding like what to change. Like I want to adjust my payroll, I'm going to adjust my management fee, I'm going to adjust my taxes and insurance, but repairs and maintenance, that's what it is, I'm going to leave that number. Or the electric or trash, what I mean, those are the basics. You'll figure out as you go how to adjust things for the way you want to look at it. I didn't want to get into that because everyone has a different idea of how things are going to take. I was going to put this in the group today before the call. We had a fee. I shared it with you the one time. Michael or Jonathan was talking on Friday about the email that we get every Monday morning about what's going on in the property. It's very detailed because we had an overdose and somebody died. So this is not the first instance we had. We had someone stabbed at the other property. So I wanted you guys to see what a real update on a property should look like, just for, so that you guys know moving forward.
So now I've got kind of a callous question. You own the property. You're not liable for what your tenants do? Like what happens? Like why, I guess, are they including that in that report just so you know what happened on your property?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you had a rental property and your tenant died, wouldn't you want to know?
Yeah.
Well, when rent doesn't show up, you're gonna wonder why, right?
Oh yeah.
I'm
Okay.
being extreme here, right? Like,
Yeah,
it sucks that it
The
happened to
neighbors
someone,
complain about
but,
a smell.
things happen.
Oh my
And you
God.
need to
Yeah.
know. I mean,
Okay. No, I just was, I guess I was asking more for the context of why, if that's just simply from like a.
so when you see the email and you read it, you'll know. Like there is not one thing that goes on in our property that we don't know about.
No, that makes sense.
Like if a shingle flies off the roof, Michael lets us know.
That's
Is
awesome.
he talking about, is Josh saying more like what we're telling the investors? But even with that though, like
Okay.
it's kind of like I said with the capital raising thing, if you're giving these high numbers, if all you tell your investors is the good stuff, which they have the right to know, they have the
No,
right
no.
to know everything.
No, this is a GP email. This only goes to the
Right.
general
But yeah,
fund.
I'm still saying like you still tell people what's going on
Yes,
regardless.
yep, every quarter we'll have our investor call, and anyone who wants to get onto that, we will let them know. We won't get into details with it, but we'll let them know there was an overdose on the property at whatever unit it was, and if they have questions, we're happy to answer them. Yes, we let people know, but this is a GP call. We won't let
Okay.
the investor know at the quarterly meeting that a shingle flew off the roof. That's so minor.
Right. No, I was just
But
wondering what he
as
was
general
saying.
partners, there is not one thing that happens on that property that I don't know about.
The way I think about it is, I mean, I used to manage surgical clinics. And I used to tell everybody, you never want something to be a surprise to me. Like, I've always applauded the managers. I want you to take it and run with it and fix it and do all that. I'm always gonna say, go, do it, do what you need to do. But at least keep me in the loop, because the last thing I would ever want is for like one of the VPs to call me and be like, why is this happening? Or did you hear about the patient that fell? Like, just always be, you want to be in the know.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if something is so big and it's in the news and you don't let your investors know.
Oh. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when we bought the property, we didn't know because it happened 2 years prior, but there was a woman who lived in the apartment complex. She broke up with her boyfriend, and the ex-boyfriend came by and shot both her and her new brand new boyfriend.
Oh.
Like these things happen.
They do.
What?
We didn't know about it because it was 2 years prior to us even trying to buy the property. But when we talk to our lender and they go, well, there's a murder at the property, things are a little bit different now. Then we go, oh crap, like it does affect things.
And it happens all the time. All of our Texas properties have had shootings or threats, or when we bought the Waco property, our first property manager left like right away. There was fights and parties, and before you kind of get people out and all that, and our manager got threatened and left like right away. So happens regularly.
Interesting.
Well, I didn't get a chance to actually read through the whole thing yet because of the Zoom issue this morning, but our door to our laundry facility is sticking. Now they're going to replace it. Like there's not one little thing that goes on in the property that I don't know about. And like Jonathan said, they're very thorough. They're very good. This is the type of reporting that you want to see because you don't want things to be a surprise. I don't want to get on a quarterly call and they go, oh, well, there's a fire in unit 2B. When did that happen? Oh, 3 months ago. Why didn't I know about it?
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to raise capital for someone else's deal, you need to be in communication with your investors. That's literally your job if you raise capital. I don't know if anyone knows this or not, but when you raise money for a deal, you can't just go raise money and walk away. You have to have activity in the property. And that activity could just be you getting on a call and reporting back to your investors. But if you just raise money and walk away, that's a big no-no with the SEC.
Well, plus who's gonna want to invest with you again when you don't tell them what's going on with their money? Like, that's, and unfortunately all this stuff is very common. Like
the biggest complaint I hear from investors is lack of communication.
Sure.
Hands down.
My bigger, I guess I kind of made that confusing, but my real question was, wait a minute, I got confused. I thought you were suggesting you were somehow had some, not liability, but like it was, I just was wanting clarification on that specific issue, why they, on the guy ODing or whatever, like if there was some kind of liability or something as the property owner. I didn't figure, but I was curious.
No, but it affects things. If there's a shooting at the property, now people know around and they don't want to come to your apartment complex. So, how do you make the property safer? Well, we put in security cameras, we put in gates. Like if you don't know, we can't stop drugs from coming in. Anybody can bring in drugs and overdose, right? But if we found out someone was now selling the drugs on the property, well, who is it? Now we're getting rid of them.
Yeah. Yep. No, that don't make sense.
Anything else from anyone today?
Who is the property manager that you use? Do you use like a big national company?
We use
with
Clemens Real Estate. They're actually out of Kansas City. And then that's for our Main Street property. And then our other property is Wygan Omega. The only reason we don't use Clemens for both of them is because the guy who operates Clemens is not like one of my partners on the other property. He won't work with him.
Oh,
surprise.
There you go.
This is such a crazy world. It's all the same shit.
I don't care what anyone says. This is a relationship business from top to bottom.
Okay.
Nice.
I did have another question, but now I can't remember what it was. Damn it.
Well, I'm happy to do 2 more calls with you guys because I promised, 4 weeks here. I'll let you guys, if you want to just send me a message what you want me to go over the next 2 calls. Happy to dive deeper into any underwriting or anything else you want. Like I said, I anticipated a little bit more on that. So
I remembered the question. So as far as choosing a market goes, I've heard that there's opinions about like how far north to own property, where you start getting into freezing cold climates. Like me living here in the Boise area, snow sucks, pipes freeze, things happen. But if you stay south of where that happens, you don't deal with it. How big of a deal is that really?
So one, you said it in your question, it's an opinion. Everybody is, if they're investing in, North Dakota and they're successful, it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
It's just anticipating those issues. So one of the things I said, if you look at properties in the north right now, and I'm only going from New Jersey, we had 0 snow last year at all. That's not normal. We usually get some. So if you look at a property last year on the T12, there's no snow removal. Anticipating that normally there will be snow removal, so underwriting that into the deal helps combat that.
Okay.
When you look at repairs and maintenance, knowing what all those repairs and maintenance issues were will help you determine whether you should add more money to it or less money. So like we had 2 leaks already on our Main Street property in Wichita. Those were not anticipated, but we saved so much money from Jonathan being so good at doing what he does that it's not a big deal, right? You always want to go into a deal having a lot more reserves than you really need. So when you underwrite those reserves into the deal, we always pad it, right? General deal is 2 to 5% depending on how much extra you want to have, but we always anticipate that the rehab's going to be a little bit more. We're going to add a little bit more reserves. We'd rather be safe than sorry. So a lot of people are getting in trouble in these last couple of years with their underwriting because they underwrote the deal so tight that if one little thing goes wrong, the deal's terrible.
Underwrite for worst case scenario, not best case scenario.
Yeah. So like to give you an example right now, let's just say a market is an 8% vacancy rate. Well, they're still going down. I may underwrite that at 10 right now with 0 rent growth for 2 years. But you'll still get people that'll say, oh, well, we're going to fix it up. It'll be 5% vacant and we're going to get 3% rent growth, but all the rent's going down.
That's me. I'm one of those dumbasses. I've been needing the dose of reality before I really get into this. Oh my God. I'm like,
now you know, but I'd say as far as weather and location goes, you're going to be a lot worse off going to the Texas coast or Florida than we have no humidity here whatsoever. So, I mean, as far as that goes, just looking like a north-south thing, you're going to encounter a lot more crap and high insurance rates in Florida or the Texas coast, which is south. So that's not even a thing. Like each individual area, well, the insurance too, whether they're going to charge you for hail, say, right? Like or flood, hail is like a real thing that they would put on there. So depending on, I mean, we just have snow, rain, or warm weather, basically. We don't have, tornadoes, this, that, and, humidity that's making all your stuff mold. So there's definitely worse areas as far as
you have just different problems, right? There's no plus or minus. It's your opinion on where you want to invest and what you want to, put up with. So
yeah. Okay.
Have you, on the deal sourcing, have you done any direct to seller campaigns?
I have not, but I'm going to next year. I'm going to start focusing on anything between 20 to 50 units, direct mail. Like I said, I give credit where credit is due. I would definitely follow David Monroe, CCIM, on YouTube. He is completely overkill on the data. You want to back it off a little bit, but it's great information. Don't get me wrong, it's great information to know. Stacy, also, if you look into his Acquisition Pro, if you sign up for that, he has a free direct to seller campaign that he has in there. I'm anticipating it's not any more than just calling your property management. This is how I would do it. Calling your property management, getting a list of all the properties in a certain area from a CoStar report, finding the owners, and then sending them a piece of mail that just says, hey, I see that you're the owner at 123 Main Street. I really love your property because of its location to blah, 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 blah. If you ever had any interest in selling it, would you give me a call? Something like that. You always want to talk good about the property. I see people, they send out mail and it's, hey, your property looks like a piece of junk. You want to sell it? Nobody wants to get that. Nobody wants to call you. So
Hmm. Have you ever like, I mean, with all this debt coming due, in the next 1 to 2 years with all the right, raising interest rates and everybody that got bridge loans that is now trying to refinance and they underwrote, a much lower refinance interest rates in their deal, and everyone's saying there's going to be all these deals available. So I was also wondering if you've ever gone to like lenders or used that strategy to try to find out which distressed sellers are out there or properties that are underperforming.
I have not. I would, now that you brought that up, I'd like to see how that conversation goes. I'd be curious to see if they would let you know who those owners and properties are. From what I've experienced, those lenders or brokers that know about these properties are reaching out to people they've already done business with to see if they
Sure.
want them. They're gonna be off market
True.
before they ever hit the market. That's the biggest thing in this business. Once you perform, you're in the club, right? You're in the know. It's so hard to get in though. So if you're in somewhere and you're the contact, you'll definitely start hearing about those properties. Like when we bought Pinnacle in Wichita, I was bombarded with brokers I've never heard of in the market sending me stuff. That's just how it happened. So it's definitely going to be coming out. How to get access to it, I don't know unless you've performed with that broker before. But I definitely think there's a way that you could go about finding out.
Yeah. As far as next time, I do think going back to underwriting, maybe going through another sample deal, like that class where we all came on and went through some underwriting. I mean, we didn't get to go through everybody's. I think we went through what, 3 people's, but maybe doing another round of that. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I think walking through line by line where people got their numbers and why and their rationales for those things is helpful.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to do that and can actually put in, my focus for that last call was not to concern ourselves with the numbers. It was just to get you, the experience of using the template. If anyone wants to underwrite a deal and present it on Wednesday and actually have gone through the numbers that, they pulled their rent comps and they have proof of them. They've called the county tax assessor's office. They've gotten some type of insurance quote. If you can get that, it might be tough in 2 days. We can definitely go through those numbers and dive deeper into it if anybody wants to.
All right.
All right.
How about I'm just trying to think of some other things. Did you put up like when you are submitting, do you have like a LOI template that you use? Did you post that somewhere?
Yeah, I put that in the Facebook
Yeah.
group as well.
It's in the Facebook group. Okay,
Yep.
cool.
So when
thanks.
I submit a deal or submit an offer, you get the LOI, you get everyone's bio that is on the GP side. And then I got to put it in there, but one of my other partners had a who we are document and it talked about everyone in there. So that was their bio. It was very nice. Mine's just a Word document with a picture. But they had a very nice like PowerPoint designed who we are bio that I could share with everyone.
Sweet.
All right, so hopefully one of you underwrites a deal. Anyone gonna go ahead and say they're gonna do it for Wednesday? He is shaking her head. No, come on.
Nope. I know what I'm good at.
I'm gonna go
I
ahead
don't
and
know.
say
I'm not committing yet. I want to say yes, but I gotta get the deal first.
execution.
If
But I
if
got
not, I
time
can always
period.
go through Pinnacle Lofts. I can show you our underwriting. I can show you actually I shared it in the group, the rent comps in the Word document and everything I found. I can show you guys. I think I put the CoStar report in there too. If you want to, we can just always go through that if nobody wants to actually underwrite a deal.
I got a question. So a big part of what always stops me from doing anything is just the Well, never mind. That's besides the point. Let me cut to the chase. It's overwhelming to me to like analyze 10 markets just because of the time. Like I gotta remember to do it. What's a good market to look at? So somebody throw me out a market to go call a broker.
He wants the shortcut already.
I do.
Well, it depends on what type of real estate you're doing. You know what I mean? Because some places are going to be good for one thing and not another thing. So I think that's the first thing is what are you wanting to do? Like flip or buy a 10 unit or buy a 200 unit or do a syndication, a JV. You got to narrow that down because every market's in a different place right now.
I'll be honest. Right now, what I want is money in my pocket. So whatever the shortest road to that is, would be my first stepping stone. So
What do you
flipping's
think,
probably
Brad?
it.
What's the shortest flipping?
It's definitely not multifamily.
No.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
or maybe
Yeah.
a better, maybe let me rephrase it. What's the best use of my time as being brand new to all of this stuff? You know, there's a building of
Find partners
relationships.
with experience who are doing the same thing you want to do.
And bring them
So
to the
I don't think the local
what?
market is great for flipping, but people are doing it here. Find experienced partners that are doing what you want to do and see how
Yeah.
you can get in. If you're a general contractor, I'm sure you can.
And in terms of market, let's try to look at it a little bit differently. You're in Boise, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's the first place to look. Where else in the country do you know somewhat?
California,
Yeah, neither of those
Utah,
are
a little
really
bit. California and Utah.
Okay, well, let's make it simple. Just Google what could you Google? You could just throw stuff in Google. Best states to rent in, best states to move to,
Oh,
and
okay.
start, picking
Got it.
areas, and just analyze them. And it doesn't need to be overwhelming. If you don't have a ton of time, see, everyone wants to go 100 miles an hour at this. If you're going to do this, you're going to do it for the next 30, 40 years. Like, let take your time. If you can only analyze a market one per night, then do that. Google what the population is, see what it's doing. Google how many people are moving there, see what it's doing. Look at top lists to see what's going on in the market. It should not take you very long to get some basic information. If it takes you more than 20 minutes, you're probably focusing on the wrong things. But just look at the checklist that I've given you and Google those things. You'll get that information. And then the next day, do another one. And then after 10 days, you have 10 markets and you can analyze between those 10 of them, which ones look the best.
Okay.
And then from there, you could start looking on Crexy and LoopNet. You could start calling brokers, or if you want to raise money, you could start talking to investors and using that information that you found about why you want to invest in that market. And then you got to find people that are already investing in that market that have the experience and talk to them and see if they have interest in bringing in someone who can bring in money. But first and foremost, you have to figure out what it is that you want to do and then focus on doing that. I'm just trying to give everyone the information. You're going to have to see what's best for you and what your skill set is and determine which route you want to take. Because like I said, you can't go raise money and go find all the deals. You just can't do it. There's not enough time in the day.
Yeah. Well, I thought I wanted to buy apartment buildings, but now I realize there's more than just buying apartment buildings involved here. So
Well, that's because I didn't get you all jacked up and try to sell you a program for 40 grand.
right.
Yeah, I fell for that once. Not happening again.
Oh, it sucks.
All right. Well, appreciate you guys. We will go over someone's underwriting if someone's daring enough to do it. If not, we can go over all the Pinnacle stuff that I found and go through all that on Wednesday.
All right.
When did
All
when did you
right.
acquire Pinnacle? Just sorry.
July 20th, 22.
Okay, 22. Just okay.
And then
Just
Main
curious.
Street was 1/6 of 23.
Okay.
All right. I'll
Where's-
see you guys later.
Awesome.
See you guys Wednesday.
Adios.
Bye.
Thank
Everyone-
you.